Welcome back to another episode of this horror series. Tonight's story is going to leave you terrified of being home alone, so make sure to stick around. You know those nights when everything feels too quiet, when the silence itself feels heavy. This story is one I never told until now. It happened when I was 17 years old, in the middle of a small, quiet town where nothing exciting ever really happened. My parents trusted me to stay home alone for the night while they visited family out of town. I thought it would be a normal, boring evening. I couldn't have been more wrong. The evening it was winter and the nights fell early. By the time I locked the door behind my parents, the sun had already disappeared. The house was cozy, warm, 2 stories surrounded by tall trees that always seemed to creak in the wind. I settled into the living room. The TV flickered in the dark, and I scrolled through my phone, half paying attention, half enjoying the silence. The air outside was calm. Every so often I heard a dog bark in the distance or the faint whoosh of a car passing on the main road. It felt like any other night, but deep down I couldn't shake a strange feeling, like someone was near, like I wasn't really alone. I laughed at myself, brushing it off. Just nerves, just imagination. The first sounds, it was maybe an hour later when I heard it. Gravel. That slow, crunching sound, like footsteps on the driveway. I muted the TV and froze. Silence. After a long moment, I convinced myself it was nothing. Maybe the neighbor's car. Maybe an animal. A few minutes later, my dog lifted his head from the floor and started growling at the window. A low warning growl I had never heard from him before. My skin prickled. I stood up, walked over, pulled the curtain back just a little. Nothing, just darkness. The yard, the trees swaying in the wind. I told myself it was probably a raccoon, or maybe the neighbor's cat. But in my gut, I knew something was wrong. The first glimpse, I went back to the couch, scrolling through my phone to distract myself. And then I saw it, not outside, but in the reflection of the window across the room, a face. For a split second, I swear I saw a face staring back at me through the glass. My breath caught. My eyes shot up to the window. Nothing, just my own faint reflection in the dark glass. I shook my head, laughed nervously to myself. I was imagining things. I grabbed the cord and yanked the blinds shut. But the feeling didn't go away. The feeling that someone was watching. The kitchen window. A little while later, I walked into the kitchen to get a drink of water. The blinds over the sink window were open, and in that exact moment, I froze. Because pressed against the glass was a face, a man's face. His skin pale, his eyes wide, unblinking, his mouth curved into the faintest, most unsettling smile. He didn't move. He just stood there, inches from me, separated only by a thin sheet of glass. My heart slammed in my chest, my body locked up. I couldn't scream, couldn't move. He was looking right at me. The fear sets in. I dropped down behind the counter, clutching my phone, my hands trembling so badly I nearly dropped it. I dialed 911 with shaking fingers. When the operator answered, I whispered as quietly as I could, "There's someone at my window." The operator told me to stay calm, to stay hidden, that officers were on their way. I peeked over the counter. The man was still there, still staring. His breath fogged the glass. He didn't blink. He didn't move. It felt like forever. And then he was gone. Just like that. The window was empty. The back door, I told myself maybe he'd left. Maybe he'd run when he saw I was on the phone. But then I heard it. The sound of footsteps on the back porch, slow, heavy. The back doorknob rattled. Once, twice, I clamped my hand over my mouth to stop myself from screaming. The 911 operator kept whispering, "Stay calm. Don't move. Help is almost there." I could hear the metal turning, shaking, and then nothing. The silence of the house was dead quiet. Every sound seemed deafening. My own heartbeat, my shallow breathing, the faint hum of the refrigerator. I crouched there for what felt like an eternity, waiting, listening, and then finally, sirens. Faint at first, then growing louder. Red and blue lights flashed across the walls. I'd never felt so relieved in my life. The police arrived. Officers searched the yard, the porch, the driveway. They found nothing. No man, no sign of anyone breaking in. But then one of them called me outside. And when I saw what they'd found, my stomach dropped. Footprints, muddy footprints circling the entire house, stopping at every single window. The prints weren't rushed. They weren't messy. They were deliberate. Whoever it was had been circling my house, watching for a long time. The aftermath. The officer looked at me and said quietly, "Whoever it was, they weren't just passing through. They were studying your house. Studying you. They never found the man. They checked the neighborhood, questioned neighbors, but no one had seen anything. That night was the last time I ever felt safe staying home alone. For weeks, I couldn't sleep without checking every lock, every blind, every corner of the house. And even now, years later, I still remember the feeling. Those unblinking eyes, that faint, twisted smile, and the thought that chills me most. How long had he been there before I noticed? Watching me eat, watching me laugh at my phone, watching me live my life, completely unaware. Okay, now it's time for you guys to tell me your stories. What is the scariest thing that has ever happened to you while you were home alone? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want more scary stories, then check out the playlist. I promise you won't be disappointed. Also, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an upload. I'll see you guys next time.